What's up everyone? Seth Thompson here with Flatlanders Cabins. On this video we're going to put in some upgraded rollers in the secondary clutch. Just one other tip too while you're doing this job. If the sled hasn't had spark plugs in it for a while, it's a very convenient time to put new spark plugs in these things while that secondary clutch is out. Step one, we're gonna lock the brake on this and get the gear the bolt broke loose on the top gear. First, you'll have to take a flathead screwdriver, pop this cover off. Just be careful so you don't poke a hole in it. And then here's that bolt. We're gonna take that all the way out. And when you're taking this bolt out, if you're not wanting to take your chain case cover off, just be careful you don't drop the washer. But then, next step, we're gonna loosen up the chain tension. I put a mark on the top of the bolt so you can just count turns and make sure you get it back to the way it was. Otherwise, that's where it's handy to just take the whole side cover off, but I don't feel like doing that. So I just went 5 turns loose on that adjuster screw. And then this is where your long bolt comes into play. We're going to thread that into place just a little bit. And we're going to put that bolt there so that way as we pull this shaft out, this bolt is going to catch and hold our upper gear in place so it doesn't drop down into the chain case. Then next we're going to come back over to the other side over here, and we just have one nut here to take loose, and this cover will come off, or the bearing retainer will come off with it. Just make sure you don't drop anything down in there. So once you get that nut off, then this bearing retainer just comes right out. Then what we're going to do is get a pry bar. This bearing is just kind of sits in there fairly tight. So we're going to get a pry bar and just pry that out very gently. Maybe take a hammer and tap really lightly on our bolt. Maybe use 2 pry bars and pry back and forth on this aluminum holder, but just be really careful with it. Don't get too crazy with it, otherwise you'll break something. So I've got a couple old looking ancient pry bars here, but we'll start prying this thing out and see if we can break something. There it went. Just kind of pry on the top and bottom side of it, and it came right out. So you can see there how it was just sitting in that housing. And then on this other side is where it's important to have this long bolt there. So what we're going to have to do now is I'm going to unthread this bolt and pull that whole shaft assembly out. And then we're going to leave this bolt here resting in this chain case housing to hold that gear up. Unthread that bolt and then pull the clutch out. Just like that. Just be careful you don't drop that gear. So that's all there is to getting that secondary out. And like I said, if you haven't done spark plugs in a while, which I throw new spark plugs in the sled at the start of every year just for the fun of it. Might be a little excessive, but that's okay. And there you see the bolt just resting on both sides, holding up that gear in the housing. So now we'll go to the shop with the vise and work on getting those rollers put in.